So I'm sure a lot of you watching have heard of stories about people being bullied. Those stories generally go along the lines of someone gets bullied, they get support, and they get better, and nothing ever happens again. That's not really how it works. So the people who might not be sharing all their stories might not feel comfortable with the level of support that is being shown as a general idea of bullying. They could possibly have deeper problems than what's shown on the surface. I had to deal with bullying for a painful 9 years, and over that time I've seen what really goes on with bullying, and it's a whole lot more complicated than you'd really expect. My story began in grades 1 and 2, where there was this other kid at my school who, for one reason or another, didn't happen to like me, so he decided to vent any kind of anger he had into me. What gave this bully the capability of harassing me for those 8 years that he was there was his, what they call, silver tongue. It's kind of like when someone can just convince anyone of anything, anywhere, at any time. He'd go around using his silver tongue and make a lot of other kids make fun of me for whatever reasons he told them, and because of that, it made it look like it was a running joke kind of thing, so that probably distracted the teachers from actually looking at it like a bullying situation. The bully himself eventually came directly up to me instead of hiding behind everyone else and hit me with a lunch bag, probably with a thermos in it, so it was heavy and it left a mark for a long time. I stormed off to the principal's office and I was going to get him in deep trouble, but I was stopped by him and I made the biggest mistake I've probably ever made. I let him talk me out of going to the principal's office. Eventually I did get around going to the principal's office after multiple more occasions like this rose, but every time I would go, the principal would assume I had always started the fight. In some way I had antagonized him, and it would cause him to hit me back. So nothing ever really got solved that way, because there was always two sides to the story. Eventually I went up to middle school where things only happened to get worse. I stuck as a target. Everyone still saw me as a target there, and kids can be a lot meaner once you get into middle school. They know a lot more. There were more bullies who happened to come around more frequently and directly confront me in other situations, but the same bully that I had from elementary school had stayed at my school, so I was stuck with him again. To make matters worse, he was put directly into my class. My parents and the principal organized that the year before, that when I move to middle school, that I will not have to have him in my class even if he's going to the same school. Lo and behold, he just happens to be there. As I said, things did get worse in middle school, especially because Mr. Silvertongue was still there, telling people stories about me. And so some people would just generally insult me, others would knock things out of my hand in the hallway, and some were just downright cruel with whatever they were saying. There were other kind of subtle situations that would happen throughout school, like I'd be the last to be picked for sports when there were 2 teams, or nobody would partner up with me on projects, so I'd have to be assigned like half of a project on my own. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that stuff really grows on you after a while. By grows on you, I don't mean you get used to it, I mean it really starts to hurt your feeling. Another one of the large issues that happened during middle school was I had this friend, and eventually he became kind of mean, and he wouldn't be very appreciative of what I would do for him, and he just really became just like any other bully would. So I just kind of stayed away from him, and one day he followed me home, bothering me about using my GameCube because he wanted to use it or something. And I told him, go home, I don't want to have to deal with you. And he'd still be following me that person. What was really happening was he was insulting me quietly, and he was loudly claiming that I had said racist things towards him. Eventually I got fed up with this situation, and I just shoved him and said, leave me alone, go home. And all he could offer as rebuttal was, well, kicking me in the shins. So another situation like this where he kicked me again after following me, it happened again, and a teacher saw it this time because it happened just outside of school grounds. So he pulled both of us inside, and the first thing he said to me was, did you instigate this? And no matter how many times I told him no, I tried to get him to leave me alone, he just didn't want to listen. Again, like the elementary school story, there had always been two sides to the story. My first year of high school wasn't any better than any other year of school I've had. Although the same bully that had been at my school for 8 years had gone to a different school, I was stuck with 3 other bullies pretty much the same as he was. Silver tongue quality, and to be honest, they were meaner and they were bigger and they were stronger, a lot more so than the other one was. So they were more intimidating and they seemed like they had more power over me. Once I got to high school, I pulled out my old Pokemon games and I started playing them again. And my brother at that time, he had gotten another Pokemon game as well. And so we'd play together a lot. But just because playing Pokemon isn't socially accepted in high school, I was made fun of a lot for that. Well, you're pretty lucky to have a school that socially accepts Pokemon, let me tell you that. So I'd be made fun of a lot for that, and I didn't really think it was fair for me to be spending time with my brother and be teased about it at school. Physical situations got even worse in high school. People would be punching me, they'd be throwing things at me, like, again, on camping trips, things like sticks would be thrown at me, or during gym class, basketballs would be thrown at me. Things like this haven't really gotten any better. I just moved schools, so I didn't know anyone there. No one there knew me, and it was a completely fresh start. What I'm trying to say is that what I did was I let myself become a target. And once you become a target, it's nearly impossible to lose that kind of reputation. When something starts, you have to stop it immediately, otherwise it'll just grow and grow and it'll be extremely difficult to get rid of. Although the bullying may be over now, these kinds of target problems have left ideas in the back of my head, like during a project I'd automatically assume that no one would want to partner with me for the next science project, or I'd automatically think nobody's going to value what I have to say in this project, or something like that. Nobody would really value me, my ideas, my opinions, my personality, or my feelings. So these things have already happened to me, but there are other people who still need help. It's not like it just ends with one person. It's really tough for me to see someone fall through the cracks and become a target as well. So if you do see someone that's being bullied, you don't necessarily have to stand up and be the hero of all things. But what you really need to do is make sure that they're okay. If it's something like a physical situation, you should probably be ending it. But just be like emotionally alright at the end of whatever situation has been happening. The way helping people with bullying works is kind of like a I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing. If you support someone, you'll probably get support as well, because there will be other people who are comfortable enough to support you after what they've had to go through. So definitely I did not get through bullying myself. I had a lot of friends and family that helped me out over the course of those 9 years. But so what I'm trying to say is I've already made these mistakes and I've learned from them. Hopefully you can learn something from these mistakes too. Don't make the same mistakes that I did.